Personally, I love when things come completely full circle, and in this instance, a team was very clear about their intentions to shore up a specific position in their defensive back unit. Now, a long time ago, I got my Twitch banned for, I don't really know what. It's a very long story, and I don't want to take up like most of this video talking about it, but it was mainly something that I didn't do that I got accused of, and now I lost my Twitch account forever. We're running a campaign on Twitter. All you have to do is like and retweet the tweet in the description down below, and you could win $500 if I get my Twitch account back. This goes a very long way in pretty much signing a petition to give me my Twitch account back, and I really appreciate it. But if I don't get it back, I created a brand new channel for gaming. It's called Microphone Gaming. A link to that's going to be in the description down below if you're interested. And now that we got all that out of the way, break! So if you're very much into fitness and training the way I am, which I know from this camera angle it's not that apparent, but I am, go check out my Instagram. We lift, yeah. I mean, just go check the Instagram. You'll see what I mean. Well, you'd understand how important and vital your testosterone levels are to you being able to absolutely crush it at the gym and not really overthink talking to women, which is why it's very important that if you're in your late 20s, most of us are declining in testosterone. I don't know what the hell they're putting in milk lately, but something is happening and most of us are turning into wimps and pussies, which is why I partnered with Hone Health, which is a company that allows you to test your own testosterone without having to go to a doctor or one of those sketchy HRT clinics, which, by the way, I think it's a little bit too early if you're in your 20s to go to an HRT clinic. So it's really simple. They send you this package over here. You could test your own testosterone with this assessment box that they have, send it in, and they'll tell you what's up with you and whether you need to do some sort of therapy, which they'll send to you discreetly. I'm currently awaiting my own results, but if you want to try it out currently, just go to honehealth.com/microphone and you'll get your home assessment and doctor consultation for only $45, which honestly is a steal, because if you go to one of these clinics, it could cost you like $300 to $400. Not that I would know or anything. That's honehealth.com/microphone, and thank you, Hone, for the sponsor. Let's get to today's video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? If you guys remember, one of my first videos on this channel, and this is where things get really ironic, is the moment that Richard Sherman trash talked Tom Brady and instantly regretted it. And in that video, we pretty much talk about the time that Richard Sherman went up to Tom Brady's ear in the very early parts of the LOB era and said, "You mad, bro?" And pretty much Tom Brady got him back for that one. So moral of the story, and the moral of like 5 other stories that we have on this channel, is don't trash talk Tom Brady. It never ends up well. But a lot has changed since that moment. You see, over the next 7 years, Tom Brady would go on and win many more Super Bowls, establish himself as the greatest NFL player of all time. Sorry, Jerry Rice fans. And Richard Sherman would achieve some success as well, winning a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, beating the Denver Broncos in a very dominant fashion, and in one of the more boring Super Bowls of the past decade, in my opinion. I think it's either that or the Rams versus the Patriots Super Bowl. Both were excruciatingly boring to watch because one was super one-sided and the other was, well, very defensive, and just showed Bill Belichick completely dismantling Sean McVay's jet motion offense with a very simple minor change. And there's videos on that. We're not going to get into that. But for Richard Sherman, his career has been very unique, to say the least. You see, from there, he would stay with the Seattle Seahawks until the 2017 season, and then he would do something very interesting. He would go to the San Francisco 49ers, which I honestly never anticipated, because this was the team that was the #1 rival of the Seattle Seahawks in the earlier parts of Richard Sherman's career. I mean, they had Jim Harbaugh as a head coach, who was Richard Sherman's collegiate head coach when Richard Sherman played wide receiver. There were rumors that Jim Harbaugh even went out of his way to tank Richard Sherman's value. When coaches would call Jim about Richard Sherman as a person, he would talk bad about him, supposedly. And And as time went on, of course, Jim Harbaugh would leave the San Francisco 49ers to return to his alma mater, Michigan, and for a lucrative head coaching gig, where ever since then he's been kind of a disappointment to that program, with all due respect to Jim Harbaugh. Meanwhile, Richard Sherman did something that we never anticipated. After Kyle Shanahan got hired by the San Francisco 49ers, Richard said, hey, you know what? You remember those times where I would go and drop interviews like,
Richard, let me ask you the final play. Take me through it.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me.
To literally joining the San Francisco 49ers, and probably, and I know this could be a little bit bold, but being one of the main reasons why that defense was so successful, in the sense that, yeah, his talent wasn't nearly what it once was. He did have a season in 2019 where he had a bit of a career renaissance. He defended 11 passes and was able to lead the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl. And I really think the way Richard Sherman helped the San Francisco 49ers presence is the guy's always been just a very smart guy, in my opinion. He's very well spoken, and when you have a team of very young and talented pass rushers, very young but talented linebackers, Kyle Shanahan, who I think is one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the NFL, Robert Saleh, who clearly knew what he was doing with that defense. You have Nick Bosa there, who's amazing when he's healthy, but you also have Richard Sherman, who comes from Stanford and has experience in a very successful defense. And of course, the San Francisco 49ers would lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2019 Super Bowl. They would run it back in 2020. Injuries would completely decimate that team that year. They would get a low draft pick, end up trading up and drafting Trey Lance. But Richard Sherman, of course, unfortunately, ran into some legal trouble during that time. If you remember, earlier in the summer, we have dedicated videos on this, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want this video to get demonetized, and those videos did get demonetized. But for lack of a better way of saying it, there was an incident where Richard Sherman got really drunk and ended up banging on his father-in-law's house in a very intimidating way. He scared the living crap out of his wife, and he would end up getting arrested. He did crash a car, but to be honest, he's apparently done so much good for that community that things are looking up for Richard Sherman. This was apparently an aberration in his behavior. It's not something that is very common from him. I hope he's doing better because a lot of time has passed since then. But as a result of that situation, a lot of teams haven't really reached out to Richard Sherman to potentially bring him in to the fold for a team up until now. You see, in week 1, unfortunately, Sean Murphy Bunting was placed on injured reserve, and Bruce Arians was actually asked by a media member whether or not the general manager, Jason Licht, has reached out to Richard Sherman to gauge his interest to replace Sean Murphy Bunting. Typically, you don't see coaches and teams being so upfront about a player's situation. So after the Atlanta Falcons got destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, after another game which Tom Brady looked like prime Tom Brady once again, Bruce Arians said this in the post-game press conference, saying, Jason's reached out to Richard Sherman, so we gotta see. He's got other things going on as well, which is probably a reference to the recent arrests and all of that stuff that he has to take care of before coming back onto the football field. But Bruce Arians continued to say that it's just a matter of, I coach the ones that we got and let Jason handle the rest of that. We'll kick the tires on some other guys too, but it's just a matter of, no, we'll talk and see if it's the right fit and we'll move on from it. So it's really interesting because, and I'm not just throwing stuff out there to throw stuff out there, but 2 members of the Legion of Boom are currently free agents. Earl Thomas hasn't seen a football field since the time he got cut from the Baltimore Ravens. And the issues there were the fact that he was very used to running a cover 3 defense where his position pretty much just got to run around the field and freestyle, and if he saw an opportunity to make a play, he could make a play. Unfortunately, that's not what the Baltimore Ravens really do. As a result, he would get into it sometimes with his teammates, even though he did perform really well during his first season in Baltimore. Ultimately, it was to a detriment of that defense, apparently, according to his teammates. Apparently, it was so bad that his teammates wanted him out of Baltimore, and he also did deal with his own off-the-field issues, which is an even wilder story that his company even reached out to me to take down the video about, so I can't really go into it there. If you want, check me out on Instagram. I'll drop a quick video on it, let you know what went down with Earl Thomas a year ago. It's a wild story. But anyways, do I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would bring in Richard Sherman? Most definitely. This has Tom Brady's writing written all over it. Tom Brady typically likes going after the older guys that have been proven winners in the past, that have great football minds, and look no further than bringing in Rob Gronkowski. Look no further than bringing along Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's career was essentially dead until Tom Brady pushed to bring him along against Bruce Arians' wishes, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl together. So I think it's a matter of when, not if, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to bring along Richard Sherman. But this is something that we're going to have to look at because schematically, Richard Sherman is an outside cornerback, so the team would use Ross Cockrell in nickelback situations, as well as Mike Edwards, who had 2 pick sixes this past Sunday. So this all comes down to Richard Sherman's legal issues and whether he'll be able to sift those out. Let me know if you're a Bucs fan. Is this something you would like to see? I honestly think it'd be really cute and a nice way to end the little storyline between Tom Brady and Richard Sherman in the earlier part of Sherman's career, but this is something I just had to bring to your guys' attention. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.